We have with us Minister of Transportation, Mr. Omar Alghabra. We all know that yesterday there's an announcement that government has banned flights from Pakistan, India for 30 days. Omar, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum and welcome you in Toronto 360 TV.
Assalamu alaikum, Arshad. Thank you very much for giving me yet again the opportunity to speak with you and your viewers. Ramadan Mubarak to you and your viewers.
Thank you very much, Ramadan Mubarak. Every country take a decision, take measures to protect their citizens. And of course, this pandemic is internationally spreading very fast. So what was the reason behind the banning the flights from Pakistan and India?
Look, Arshad, from the beginning of the pandemic, we promised to do everything to help Canadians and to protect Canadians, to protect their health, to protect their safety. And from the beginning of the pandemic, we've been adding measures at the borders, asking quarantine, asking for tests before arriving and after arriving, doing a hotel quarantine. So we've been putting layers of protections. And what this has done is given us more information about travelers that they arrive into Canada. And over the last couple of weeks, we've noticed, a troubling pattern. So let me give you a specific example. For India, we get a lot of travelers from India. So 20% of all travelers arriving to Canada are from India. Mm-hmm. But the infection were 50% from India. Okay. That meant that the infection coming from India or passengers coming from India alone equaled the number of infection coming from the rest of the world combined. Okay. And it was at twice or higher than 2 times the rate of the average. So, and then with Pakistan had a much smaller number because we don't have the same volume of travelers. But the percentage of infection was even 40% higher than the percentage of infection coming from India. Okay. So those were really, concerning data points. And we, after the advice of public health officer, Dr. Teresa, we decided to make a very difficult, it was not an easy decision, but a necessary decision, to take the temporary measure of suspending direct flights from India and Pakistan. And I can assure you that we didn't make this decision lightly, and it was really important to protect the health and safety of Canadians. And I can also assure you and your viewers, if we start seeing similar patterns from other countries, we may end up taking the same measures.
All right. So what I understand that the percentage of the infection from the passenger coming from India is less than the passenger coming from Pakistan. If you're saying the 50% of the infection, people are coming from abroad to Canada are from the India. So it's been, we have 2 flights maybe or 3 flights a week. And I think from India, there may be 20 plus flights. So do you have that data for like if somebody asks?
Yes. So from India, we have about, like you said, 23 flights a week. Okay. From Pakistan, I think we have 2 or 3. Okay. So like I said to you, the number of passengers, the absolute number of passengers is smaller, much smaller. Mm-hmm. That is coming from Pakistan. But the infection rate from Pakistan was even higher than the infection rate coming from India.
So
higher by 40%.
I understand. So, okay, so what is the reason? Like, would you think that the people are coming, they have fake documents? Like, if they are getting the PCR test from there with the negative and they're coming, they are scanning here as a positive. So it's been from the both countries, they have the fake documents?
Arshad, it's really hard to know. And what we needed to do is make a decision quickly. And then right now, we are assessing what to do next. So now we are assessing what do we think? Obviously, there are issues in the home country of the pandemic. There are issues of variants, but we are looking at what else we can do to understand the cause of this unusual rate of infection. But for now, we had to make this temporary but necessary measure. And we're also asking people who are coming indirect to get a test at their point of stop. So let's say somebody's traveling now from Pakistan through the UAE, through Abu Dhabi or Dubai. They need to get a test from Dubai. So they need to leave the airport, get a test from Dubai before continuing on. So they can still come to Canada, but they need to get a test from Dubai or Istanbul or whatever stoppage point that they took.
So it's mean that the direct flights from Pakistan are banned, but the people who can come from the other vias, from Doha, from Qatar, from UAE, even from USA, they can come with the test from they're taking the flight from there, they can have the test from there, right?
Exactly. So if they're coming from the USA, they need to get a test in the USA. If they're coming from Doha, Qatar, they need to get a test from Doha.
All right. Omar, you know, it's all politics. It's a lot of things maybe you're hearing, I am also hearing, that they're saying there's maybe because to please some people, instead of banning only Indian flights, they ban the Pakistani flights. I hope there's nothing like that.
Arshad, first I gave you the data, the actual data, that the infection rate from Pakistan is even higher than the infection rate from India by 40%.
I understand.
But I also, what I want to say to you and your viewers, you know, how long have I known you? For almost 15 years. I'm a big ally of the Pakistani community. My brothers and my sisters, my supporters are all from the Pakistani community, and I will always have the back of the Pakistani community. I can assure you, if there was politics here at play, I would have said no to it. But what I want to say to you, if you were in my shoes, if any of your viewers were in my shoes, and you are presented with this data, and you are responsible for protecting Canadians, you would have made the same decision as I did. I know that some people are creating false narratives, but I can assure you, responsible people who have this information before them, who consulted experts, would have made the same decision. And it's unfortunate that some people are creating this false narrative, but I'm here with you to tell you today, to give you the evidence and to tell you that I will always have the backs of the Pakistani community, and there is no politics in this decision.
I know that it's the right of every country to protect their citizens. And I think there be a ban on the flights from England too, temporary. I think Canada banned the flights from England too when there's a variant from there. So how dangerous this new variant is, this double mutation from the India? There's a lot of people, they landed in, I think, Montreal and Quebec. So the health authorities brief you about that?
Yeah, look, these new variants that are surfacing regularly are of concern, and they're not just coming from India. To be honest, you know,
yes,
once a variant becomes, you know, is born, it spreads, and we see it all over the world.
Yeah,
so
the people are talking actually about that. That's why I mentioned India. That's
yeah. So, and you know, in my remarks at the press conference, I caution people not to call any variant or any virus that this is the Indian variant, or this is the Indian, or this is the Pakistan, because viruses knows no border, and we're all in it together. So let me answer your question though. These variants are of concern because they appear to spread faster. They appear to cause more harm to the infected person. So they are, of course, of concern. And we are trying here to continue to put a lid on COVID. We want to control COVID. We want to defeat it. So we really want to do everything we can. And let me be clear. The vast majority of transmission of COVID in Canada happens through the community, not from travel. The vast majority. So that's why it's important to remind your viewers, please continue to follow public health advice. Right now, we have a stay-at-home order. Stay at home unless you have to go to do necessary things, but it's important to do so. But, you know, of course, variants are of concern.
Of course. All right. That's very right. You clarified that if people are actually comparing the numbers of the people who are affected in India and in Pakistan, but you clarified that the number of the people, the infection rate is higher than even from the people who are coming from the India. All right, so it's for 30 days ban. So will be government reviewing after 30 days?
So we will assess the situation.
Okay.
I want to be clear. I don't want anybody to assume that the 30-day ban will expire, because we could choose to extend it. We don't know. Or it could expire at the end of 30 days. So I would discourage anybody from assuming to go and buy a ticket at the end of 30 days, because the situation is still uncertain. But in the meantime, we will assess what our options are. We will assess the situation in both India and Pakistan, and we will make decision as we get closer to the date.
One more last question, Omar. So what should the government of Canada should do that if the people are coming with the negative report and when they test it here, they're positive? So any instruction or any advice the government of Canada is giving to the government of Pakistan?
Look, I have under my department, we have fined people in the past who submitted fake COVID tests. The fine is as high as $10,000. So I want to be clear. People should not assume that they can get away with a fake COVID test. But to answer your questions, a lot of people have genuine COVID test that is negative, because the test didn't appear that COVID was in their system, but by the time they arrived to Canada, they either got infected or the virus became more present. So we shouldn't assume also that people who were negative first and then positive were playing or had a fake test. That's not always the case, but it proves the necessity for these tests upon arrival. It proves the necessity for the 3-day hotel. Remember, I know some people in the community were not happy with the 3-day. This is an example why these tests are so important for everyone's protection.
All right. Omar, thank you very much. I know you were very busy today and a lot of people were contacting you. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll connect soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arshad. Thank you.
We have with us Minister of Transportation, Mr. Omar Alghabra. अच्छा जनाब, कोशिश हमने पूरी की. जो क्वेश्चन आपके जहन में थे, आपने जो मुझ तक पहुँचाए, मैंने कोशिश पूरी कर ली कि मैं उमर साहब से जो है उस हवाले से पूछ सकूँ. मुख्तलिफ़ किस्म के पॉलिटिक्स हो रही हैं, मुख्तलिफ़ हवाले से बता रहे हैं, क्योंकि प्रेशर ग्रुप हो सकता है कि इंडिया को इसलिए कर दिया, साथ पाकिस्तान को कर दिया, लेकिन उन्होंने क्लैरिफाई किया है. एंड ऑल्सो येस्टरडे भी हमारी उनसे बात हुई थी, क्योंकि जब इंटरव्यू नहीं हुआ तो मैं नहीं चाहता था कि उसको उस तरह से डिस्क्लोज़ करें, तो उन्होंने कल ही बता दिया था हमें कि नंबर जो है वो हायर, अगर पाकिस्तान से कम लोग भी आ रहे हैं, लेकिन इन्फेक्शन रेट जो इंडिया से लोग आने वालों से भी ज़्यादा पाकिस्तान का है. तो मेरे ख्याल में अब ये मैंने एक और भी आखिर में सवाल कर लिया कि भी अगर पाकिस्तान से कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि फ़ेक डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के ज़रिए आ रहे हैं या वहाँ टेस्ट ना हो रहा, लेकिन उन्होंने क्लियर किया कि ज़रूरी नहीं है, वहाँ से बिल्कुल जेनुअनली नेगेटिव भी आपका टेस्ट हो सकता है, लेकिन यहाँ आके पॉजिटिव हो जाए, क्योंकि कुछ दिन के बाद, कुछ अरसे के बाद जो है वो आता है. तो बहरहाल कोशिश देखें, हर मुल्क की अपनी कोशिश होती है. हमें एज एन पाकिस्तानी ज़ाहिर सी बात है, बहुत अजीब सा लगता है कि देखें वहाँ पे इतनी ज़्यादा नंबर्स हैं और पाकिस्तान में बहुत कम नंबर्स हैं. बट द गवर्नमेंट हैज़ द डाटा, वो उस डाटे से बता रहे हैं कि ये सूरत हाल मसला. एतराज़ हो हम तनकीद कर सकते हैं, कोई और वजूहत हो सकती हैं, लेकिन बहरहाल हमारी कोशिश थी कि जो क्वेश्चंस मेरे जहन में मुझ तक पहुँचे, आपने मुझे पहुँचाए, मैं वो मिनिस्टर से पहुँच कर उसका जवाब तक पहुँचा दूँ. और उम्मीद है कि इंशाअल्लाह ताला चीज़ें बहुत जल्द बेहतरीन तरफ चली जाएंगी.